panel discussion. Gopal, it's all yours. Please take over.
Good evening, friends. Now, Niyati, if you're achieving something which, if I remember, Shubham sir will also remember, our past president Narayan Vermaji had a dream project of having a certificate course in direct taxes. At that time, we tried a lot, but we couldn't succeed. I was recollecting that with Akbar also, because Akbar used to be the president when I was working for him as a member in direct taxes. Now, this is a students. It's an opportunity for them to interact with professionals and know that. And as the principal madam was saying that why students don't choose income tax as an option, because they choose income tax living with us. So in a lighter way, we tell them, and this is the entire certificate process by choosing income tax, you can choose income also. And this is a very you know, complicated field, but very interesting field. Just like it shows up all the fields where a lot of statistics is involved. It is stock exchange, it is cricket, everywhere so much statistics are involved. Then wherever statistics are involved, then people get more challenging jobs to do and challenging things to do. So income tax is one of the field. And now today, luckily, I have got an opportunity to throw up some questions. So one is my lordship. Anyway, we have been arguing matters and he has been answering by way of judgments. Today, some questions which are very general in nature and which will give some guidance to the students. And definitely, Dr. K. Shivaram, under whom I have learnt my, all my taxation. If I have got something positive, that is because of him. If I am not able to, then it is my fault not able to learn from you. Jayant is a very good friend of mine. We have enjoyed a lot of taxing as well as learning sessions. So with that, sir, shall I just in a first very general question, what is the overview of tax implication practice? Past, present, and future. Question comes: is the future as promising as the past was glorious? Why is it glorious? Nani Falkiwala or big name, big tourists. The names come from tax people. Like what is work. So that is a motivating factor when students will start picking up income tax as a subject. Okay.
You want me to answer that question?
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's very heartening to be back here
When
to my alma mater, Government Law College,
students will start picking up
and with
income tax
all
as
my
a
old
subject.
colleagues, Dr. Shivram, Gopal, Ajay, and with all my effort has been coming after I became a judge. So seriously, has been still appealing after he's a good professor, I'm told, became a judge. The question is, what is the future of taxation? Let us put it very simply. Why do people don't want to get into tax? in the court. Taxation is the future of taxation. Fearful word. Don't want to get a fearful word. If you ask a common man, do you pay tax? They'll say, I have nothing to do with tax. It creates a sort of fear, as if somebody is taking away something from you. What you have earned through your hard work, or something that is yours. So why this fear? Because all through generations, what we have learned about taxation, taxing authorities, is that they are going to take away something from you. Isn't it? That is the concept of taxation we have, not just in India, all over the world. But that is because that is what we have been made to feel. It is not something that it is money which we collect as a contribution for the security of the country or for developmental projects in the country. That is not how we were taught. Tax means the literal meaning of tax. You are being troubled, right? So that is why we have a lot of misconception, misunderstanding, and a fearful reaction to anything that is tax. And therefore, not many students want to take up tax. Initially, this was a compulsory subject when we studied law in LLB. We had income tax, we had sales tax. I think it was 60 and 40, if I'm not mistaken. As time progressed, that became optional because, like every authority in this world, everybody wants to be popular. So don't tax people, don't trouble them. So make taxation studies optional. This course, what I understand, I had the occasion to go through the syllabus, I'm told has been very meticulously prepared, will allay and alleviate those fears. It's meant for students, it's meant for common people. I don't think there is any basic qualification for this course, so anybody can join this course. And we have experts, luminaries in the taxation field. We have a very senior chartered accountant, we have a very senior lawyer, and all experienced practitioners who have now not only practiced this field but become very philosophical about it. So when they will present it to the students, they will present it in a way that they can understand it as if they understand the statistics of cricket. We all love statistics, but we don't like mathematics. So I hope this course helps you all and assists the country as a whole. And the CTC is doing a wonderful job. International taxation also is something which we all will have to focus on, considering that the economy has now become globalized and transnational corporations, even Indian companies are now investing abroad. Every country wants a pie in the taxation so that that country can develop. So, study of taxation, according to me, would be as important as the study of the constitution of the country. With these words, I encourage the students to ask questions or Gopal to ask some more questions.
Thank you, sir, and rightly put it. See, tax is in any form is a price for civilization. We want to have a civilized life, then we have to pay this price. There is no need to run away from this. Definitely. Sir, Shivam, sir, I would like to know, you can give your inputs on this in what are your views on the future of the tax profession? How do you see that?
Thank you, Gopal. Honorable Justice Behuja, today's chief guest. Evangelist Jan Gokhale, moderator Gopal. Vijay Bhatt, president of the chamber, and Niyati, chairperson, student committee. Gopal Merchant, past president of the chamber, Ramesh Kanya, and Ajay Singh. And of course, your speakers of the entire session, I think most of them are here. But let me share with you that when we started Palkiwala Court in the year 2004, Gopal is aware. We used to visit this auditorium every year, or not in this form, in some different form. And you know that we used to came, I think we came about almost 10 years regularly. And we, last year, when Rahul Akani came to me, they said we'll be starting the course on the, Niyati is the chairperson of that, on the education course or the certificate course. Then I told him that when Parimala Rao was the principal of this college, we met her earlier about 2006, and we requested her, all right, if you want to have the 1 year the course, that is the diploma in taxation, recognized by the university. So that at that time technology was not so much developed. So then we designed the course, Pradeep Kapasi was there, many other committee members were there, and give them detail. Then we requested, is it possible to get recognized from the university? But she tried, but unfortunately, we could not get the recognition from the university. So then we dropped the idea. In that, of course, we had the idea of PMA and other things also. In fact, interaction with Honorable Justice, Honorable Justice promised us, all right, it is possible to get recognition from the university also. So Niyati, for next year target should be that we should have 1 year diploma course on taxation, direct, indirect, like FEMA, another thing. That's for professionals we can think of. And you know that the more on practical, and you know that the once that is done, if we recognized by the university, value will go up. So and then according to me, many will be able to join this course, and this is what my desire. And I must congratulate you that for your team able to do substantial work on this. And of course, I'm thankful to Honorable Justice Oja to come over here to share ranks with us, and it is a great encouragement. And if this dream also mine, 1 year. So, but you can take note. Of course, Jan Gokhale is there. We'll pursue it at least this term. If it does, I think that will be the great thing what we will bring to the profession, and it will be great to the students coming as large. Now, of course, the Gopal put me the question on overview of the tax litigation. Well, I can go on speaking for on this at least half an hour, but then Jan will not get opportunity. But let me share with you one instance. Like the Lordship may be aware, that when I started practice, somewhere, that earlier, in the 1998, we had about, 3 lakh pendency before that year. And we had 53 benches. And now today, 2024, we are having only pendency 34,000. And out of 34,000 also, all over India, I'm telling you. When we started Mumbai, we were 90,000. So therefore, when you ask the student to join for this tax profession, this is one figure they should know. At least direct taxes, dependency before the tribunal has gone down. And High Court also, if you see that out of this, that only 20% will go before the High Court. You can see from Mumbai how much matter will go after 5,000. Then the total High Court Honorable Justice Sriram I think in the two section is for 10,000 rupees. And now today's added by Justice K.S. Kulkarni, also grouping the matters and try to dispose of. So you have about 10,000 matters pending. You don't know how it will look at. Now recently budget, your limit to the High Court also increased to 2 crore and Supreme Court 3 crores. And so therefore that this point one you have to bear in mind. Why I'm sharing with you for the student across the country. For this reason, many times, like what people think that the lot of pendency before the tribunal, lot of pendency before the High Court. But in reality, that is not true. One example I should share with the students, those who are participating in different parts of the country. Few years, about 1 year back, the two students came to me. They wanted to practice litigation practice. I asked them, where you want to practice? They said, you want to practice in Bangalore. Then which branch of the law you want to practice? I asked them, I want to practice in the International Taxation. Then I showed them the figure, total pendency for the Bangalore was not even 2,000. And out of that, your international tax is not even 200. These 200 always with the big four. Then if you leave the job, then you go and practice, what will you do? So these are all the practical things one must understand before you jump into the Gopal. You have to advise them that before jumping, of course, taxes it may be very good, but these are all the realities we should bring to them. On the contrary, we should see that now how the GST is developing, or the other branches of the law developing. So these are all the things which you have to advise the students, and accordingly they can take the call whether which one is better for them pursuing. Of course, I am not telling that litigation practice is bad. It will be very good. Provided that it should have sufficient work for survive, especially why I am sharing with you because some students across the country they join the course. Suppose let us say Indo, some of the tax consultant. You cannot say that I will practice only on income tax. You should do specialize income tax, indirect taxes, other thing. Suppose if you want to start only in Mumbai, possibly yes, you may say that I want to practice only on income tax. Mumbai, Delhi, or to Ahmedabad. These three stations we are having a lot of tax litigation. Other places we are having very less. This is what I thought of sharing, and then yes. Yeah. Audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, good evening, rather. Sorry, I was a bit confused whether the mic is on or not. Two very senior and eminent persons have spoken, so I'll keep my answer brief about what is the perspective in terms of income tax and litigation. Let me put it in a very different context. Shivram sir has spoken about what I do endorse, that one has to be realistic in assessing. However, let me put it in a different context. I have been reading from Chanakya's Arthashastra right up to today. Various eminent jurists have put down. One concept has remained constant. A, taxes have been there. There is nothing constant except death and taxes, point one. Point two, nobody likes to pay tax, which Justice Ahuja also referred to. And therefore, human tendency is such that even if the finance minister were to reduce tax to let us say 3% or 5%, there is still going to be some degree of litigation surrounding it. The only question, and why I would urge students to still focus on a course like this, is because A, there is always going to be some degree of litigation. However, it is the fundamentals and the practical aspect that one needs to focus on, because fundamentals right from Chanakya's time till today about how you levy taxes and how you recover them and how you dispute them. Even then there were disputes, only they were settled by the king in a fairly simplistic manner, if I may say so, not necessarily arbitrary, but simplistic manner, not with the paraphernalia of council and so on. But there was always an argument to and fro. And in order to make that argument, you have to have two things. A fundamental understanding of the law, which I think is more important. The reading of the text is the understanding of the logic of the law, and which I believe these eminent faculty who are going to be sharing with you will help you to understand much better, because it is what is not written in the text, but what you read between the lines as to the logic, the objects, and the principles governing the levy of tax, which will eventually prevail in an era when there is reduced litigation. Undoubtedly, the litigation, as Shivram sir said, will possibly reduce, not just reduce, but it might shift to areas other than direct tax. But yet, there will be new perspectives, and I look at it like this, that for the intelligent person who understands the law, there is always great potential. The challenge is to understand it. And understanding does not come from simply reading by the rote. It often, why do professions insist on people doing internship, articleship, etc.? Because by a mere reading of the text, you do not pick up the nuances of the law, which possibly some of these faculties will be able to help you with. And I therefore believe that A, there has always been a past and there will always be a future for the well-learned, not necessarily for everyone, but for those who have understood and imbibed the right concepts. And there will always be a future in terms of earning for those who excel in that. The challenge will be for you to excel, and that is how you learn, by listening to seniors who have absorbed a lot. I think I would end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. To a great extent, I will agree with Shiram sir. The litigation is coming down, but the nature of the tenor of the litigation is changing. In the initial years, the taxation litigation was because of there was a compliance resistance was there in the society. Now it has changed to a great extent. Now there is a lot of compliance, so definitely the litigation is going to go down. But quantity will not only determine the litigation. There will be always be a quality issue. And believe me, wherever there is bee, there is honey, there is money, there is a tax. Once there is a tax, there is money, there is litigation. So with this, I will now might come to the next question. Sir, in professional, as a professional, we keep on advising all the clients and all. So there is a one question comes up. What are the ethical responsibilities of a professional, especially when you are into a advisory as well as a litigation? So can you give some views about this? Say, because this is very important for students to know that.
Ethics is there in every profession, and every profession collectively decides what will be the ground rules by which people will function. That is the basic definition of ethics. Whether ethics is morality, all that keeps changing with time. As social values change, the ethics will also change. And one has to define, this is what I believe, one's own ethics. Of course, there are guiding principles, there are luminaries who have set very high standards. To what extent those ethics are practical, all that will have to be evaluated as and when you practice this subject. It is not something in a vacuum or absolute. That is my view of ethics.
Thank you, sir. Shivam, sir.
Yes, but I do agree with the Honorable Justice. Only thing is, that those students want to understand. We had an interview of Archiva somewhere in the year 1990, VCA.
Close.
And the VCA Society OSA Journal, in fact, it was published. What he described is the true professional is a person with courage, conviction, intelligence. One today also it's those who want to read about more about the students, about ethics, they should read the article written by Ian Shah, one of legendary tax policy that is published in the ICT online also. There he put 7 qualities. What he said that the integrity, objectivity, independent, confidentiality, technical standard, professional competency, ethical behavior. In fact, you know that if Indian students follow this, I think they will be able to have very good ethics on that. Now the whole thing is what I found, in fact, Mr. Jayant is the vice president. One of the points which I always raise past present meeting of the chair. As a chamber, I said 99 years. The chamber has not adopted code of ethics for their members. There are certain members who are the the tax consultant. There is no law which governs the tax consultant. Chartered accountant governed by the chartered accountant and advocate governed by advocate. And we should have the one common for the those members of the chamber. This is my desire. I don't know, I'm not able to come in all these office bearers. And if they adopt, and then that will be very good for the professionals joining to the chamber. I did a bar, I can share with you. Over is vice president. We have made part of our constitution is the code of ethics. So that any of our member not follow that, then we can call them and we can explain from our members whether one of the. This is the what I feel all professional organizations have to adopt this. We adopt that, that will be great, and that will for even those who are tax practitioners also, they will also say that yes, we are also bound by the code of ethics. This is my suggestion.
Yes, Jayant, you can.
Again, in order to give up, while I agree with most of what everybody, both the prior speakers have said, let me give a different twist to it. Because today's generation, I believe I am addressing the students more than the senior professionals here, will look at it, कि what's in it for me? तो सब theory वगैरह ठीक है, why should I follow? So let me give you a simple thing. I have been in practice for more than 40 years. Till today, nobody has asked me whether I have actually qualified as a chartered accountant. I have also qualified as a lawyer, incidentally. But nobody has ever asked me. Why is that? It is what you are able to put across to your client, which is what most important. When I take a client, whether legal or chartered accountant's client, you are practicing a profession. What credibility you are able to convey is the root of your success. And if you want credibility, it is not just about being a qualified person, but it is also how you perform as a qualified person. And believe me, businessmen, and I've been dealing with them for long periods of time, have got an excellent network to understand who is what. So, if you carry an air of credibility with you and a projection of your ethical and honest behavior and conduct, people respect you for that, and it adds to your professional stature. And as a chartered accountant who is also in the field of audit, let me share with you, there are times when you have to tell the client, I'm sure lawyers also have to do it, that I am telling you that this will not be acceptable. Even if I am representing you, I will not plead a point particularly, or I will not do a certain thing. And on face value, somebody will feel offended. But believe me, in the heart of their heart, they know that what you are saying is right, and their respect for you as an ethical professional will go up. And therefore, I am not going into high funda about ethics. I am simply saying, if you want to be successful, it cannot be devoid of ethics. It can lead to temporary monetary gain. I'm distinguishing between monetary gain and success. If you want success in the profession, you have to be ethical. If you want temporary monetary gain, you can choose your options. That's how I look at it.
Thank you, Jayant. Thank you, Jayant. One thing, see, in profession, if you are in business, you can make profit. In profession, you earn stature. No stature can be earned without ethics. Your ethical behavior only will give you stature. As a profession, if you want to be stature, I will give one anecdote or one in Supreme Court decision. there was a valuation issue came up. The Supreme Court judges said, we believe in this valuation because this valuation is given by Mr. Malega. So that is the credibility of professional ends, the ethical behavior ends. So that is possible only in profession. You can make tons of money in business, but stature is not granted there. You can end stature only by ethical behavior. That's what I have learned from my senior Dr. Shivram, his senior V.H. Patil, our doyens of the profession. Take it from Mr. Dastu, Dr. Y.P. Trivedi. That's what it is. Now with this, I will move on to the next very simple question, sir. What is the thin line separating tax planning and tax evasion?
I only know the difference between the spellings. One is tax planning, the other is tax evasion. But I think Dr. Shivram is better suited to answer this question.
I agree with you, sir.
Only thing is that will be now see what we have to see now. See the 1967 tax rate was 98%, and whereas today it is only 35%. And you know, like today, I just found out 2.2% population pays the tax. Before that, what we used to argue about 10, 15 years back, we argue same argument on tax planning through the High Court or tribunal, it is not necessary. Because no court will come to your rescue. We are adventurous tax planning. No court will come. Reasonable, yes. Adventurous. Let me share with you one concrete example. When you know that we had a corporate client, Mr. Patil Saab and myself, we went to Pakiwa with the clients. They wanted to do some planning. We approached him, sir, this is the client, they want to do this. We chatted and advised them, do this. Pakiwa said, yes, you can do. You may substitute for tribunal also, you may substitute for High Court also, but Supreme Court you do. Therefore, you decide now whether you want to go ahead with the planning or not to go ahead with that. Then we said, no, not possible. Not possible is not the case of not possible. It is possible, but ultimately if we lose in the Supreme Court, that is not the planning at all. Therefore, now what we do, normal local also know that when our client comes to us, ask them the two questions. Are you in the planning stage or in the appeal stage? If it is the appeal stage, then of course we'll argue the matter. What may be the outcome? But we are planning stage, we will not advise you anything adventurous. That should be our, I think, the advice to the young professionals. Don't adventurize now, because if it adventurous, you know, at this juncture we not at all advisable. And considering the penalty, interest and prosecution, ultimately you will be nowhere. You will feel that all right, would I was to pay the tax, I would have paid. Therefore, this is the one thing. Many times you have come, the young chartered accountant, based on the some judgment of the tribunal, sir, tribunal had like this, based on this, we plan like this. But nobody can advise or nobody can plan based on tribunal judgment. And I am sitting the tribunal benches. One member bound to pay here or that. So that cannot be the advice for the planning is concerned. Unless conceptual very clear, legally very clear, and there is no free from doubt. And your planning should be such you are able to get the justice or the assessment is done by the ITO level himself. The ITO decide your case in favor, that is as good as it is. That is what we advise them, and otherwise, for I think adventure planning, not at all advice.
Correct, sir. I agree with you, sir. Jayant.
Okay, so another perspective once more, of course, again concurring with what Shivram ji has said, that adventurism is out. But I'll share with you a very old experience. I used to teach once upon a time, I used to teach taxation. And at that very time, my head of department, Mr. Kanu Doshi, had with great foresight, had changed the subject head from tax planning to tax management. And we had a long discussion with the director of the institution as to why this changed. And the thought process was that the era of tax planning, adventurism, if you call it that way, is past. Society and judiciary, because judiciary is a reflection of society, whether it is at ITAT or at the higher courts, is not inclined to favor extreme instances of avoidance of tax. What is better in today's world is tax management. And in fact, if you see, I happen to be associated with companies in their management and so on, and they have very significant and powerful risk management committees. And where we come to the issue of tax risk, if I am sitting on the board over there, I would take a very negative view if an over ambitious approach to tax planning is done. And that is why what actually needs to be inculcated is a practical approach. Yes, there are chances that even with the right advice and the right approach, you may still fail at certain levels of judiciary because that interpretation may not find favor. That is not adventurism. But to go in a predetermined manner to try and take every loophole, every comma, every full stop is not the order of the day. And therefore, again, but coming back to the course, why that is important to understand these nuances is you are entitled to plan in the gray areas so long as you are not in the almost black area. And therefore, there is a big distinction in where you draw that line is very significant. I would therefore erase the word tax planning from our dictionary altogether. I would prefer tax management. Management implies the balancing of costs and risks because every risk carries a cost. So what you need to do is that your cost, today's council, although Shivram may not be or Bhopal may not be examples of that sort of cost, but today's council will end up costing you more than the tax. So if you ultimately enter into extremely risky tax planning, you will end up paying more in legal fees rather than in taxes. So it is better to be more pragmatic, evaluate your cost and risk, and go for management rather than extreme planning. That's how I would put it.
Thank you, Jayant. Thank you, Jayant. I think, yes, correct. Litigation is quite expensive. And litigation costs time and energy also. So, better. But definitely, anybody who wants to, you call it planning or management, people would like to minimize their taxes. Within the four corners of law, you can very well do it. But if you cross it, then consequences are going to be there. Now, sir, one very relevant question for all students, and for me as a student, I have been facing this thing. The great Falkiola, great jurist, he had once referred to the ever-evolving tax law, the maddening uncertainty of tax laws. Sir, how do you suggest students to keep them updated with this ever-evolving tax laws? Certainty is not the constant there.
Keep reading, keep studying. We are all students till the end of our lives. Keep yourself updated. Join up with any of the refresher courses or courses on continuous professional development. Have these, I think your chamber has these circles. So keep attending those meetings regularly, online, offline. That's the only way to keep updated. Technology is helping us a lot. Like this course is online, most of it. So I think that's the only way. Keep reading. Relevant books are there, commentaries are there, and the latest case laws are now available on the mobile. Whatever is people are very good, they can summarize it very beautifully. So just keep in touch with the law and through the technology. That's my advice.
I fully endorse the view of the Honorable Justice, but I may add few more. As a student, that of course reading has to be there. what I feel, especially Mumbai, one is that the BCA journal, one of the best journal, they should be monthly to cover most of the important update. Secondly, chamber journal. Your question is you so the student should read on. They will come to know what is going on. Thirdly, AFTP journal. Where you find Ajay's editor, quarterly digest their making. And fourthly, for IT online, where you find yearly digester. About 3,000 case laws we are digesting, putting for free on bottom line. It's all avenues as Justice rightly put it. Is they available for the student which were not there when we are doing the practice. Let me share with you now. When we are doing the practice, for getting the ITIT judgment was difficult. We used to tell the seniors, what sir, is it available? He said, no, you take permission of the client. So it was difficult to get the judgment. Whereas now, even for you, in complete transparency. So protest they come, site protest they come, tribunal will come, And earlier, what was taken when all the publications, only judgment prior to the SS only, not again the SS. So we are not doing at all what are the against. Now it is not so. Now the entire due to the your technology, entire world is yours. So this is a learning process. I think very good scope is there. Anyway, we can able to learn it and update it. One is able to learn better, able to digest better. I think we will shine in the position. That's all.
I agree with you, sir.
Quick answer, of course, what Shivram sir said and what Justice Ahuja said, reading of course is the key, there is no question. For students, I would say the emphasis is less on judgments and more on understanding the fundamental act. And I'll just give you one small example. My grandmother, once I had qualified and I became fairly busy in practice, she used to see me having a hectic schedule, very disturbed with so many pressures. She advised me with all good intent. She said, "Well, start reading the Bhagavad Gita. If you can read few verses of that every day in the morning, please do that." I thought for a moment and I told her, "Ajay, I read Income Tax Act on a continuing basis, and every time that I read it, even if I read the same section 45 or 54, based on my experience in the last 6 months, every time I read the same section, I get a new light into it. So there is no end to reading the same section. You may feel that I have read section 2, charging section, etc., definition, charging section, n number of times. But based on your experiences, based on what judgments you might have read from time to time, your perspective of the same section keeps changing. And you can never say that I have read Income Tax Act enough. So from that perspective, I would simply say read and read again.
Thank you, Dan. I think here I will say one thing. Keep the learner alive. Till the learner is alive, for all, we remain students forever. I remember one thing when I was my initial years when I was working with Shiram sir. One matter came up about section 68. I said, section 68. He said, no, open the Income Tax Act. Read it when you are along with your brief. When don't ever think that you know the section. Always read the section from the text. And it will always show you a different meaning. And he is so correct. And with this, I will come to the next question. And sir, no doubt change is constant. But what is the impact of the tax reforms on the litigation practice? Do you feel that these tax reforms have changed the tenor of the litigation? Yes, sir.
Like society evolves, tax litigation has also evolved. Earlier, there were physical appearances. Now you have online faceless assessment systems. So it will evolve with the way the society evolves. It will always be a positive evolution. There will always be resistance to it. There will be hiccups. There will be resistance, obviously, to change. But then, with technology, if we go ahead, I think these are positive results.
Sir,
In fact, I fully agree with the Honorable Justice. But let me share with you, like, Gopal, that the faceless assessment, it is complete cheap. According to me, that is the very good move by the government. And I'll tell you, 97% returns are accepted, 3% only taken for scrutiny. And that now, because of the faceless scheme, the 24/7 you can update your return, or you can give submissions. And these all they were not available when the earlier days. One important change what I found when few years back to ask one of the consultant, what the latest book of the income tax? He said no. Then how you practice? He said no, ready. He said my only investment in here is only one ready. They don't require any act of God. But here it is practice. But now it has changed. Now redactional practice will not work. Now he has to be actually know the law. He should be able to give the reply properly to the assessment officer. He should be able to update his return, and then only be able to compete with the other tax practitioners. Therefore, course like this, for chamber is organized to the long way. So now what I feel that the one-time practice will do, and already gone. Earlier people used to say that all that I know this officer, don't worry, harassment will be done. It will not be so. Now no quantum. It is only the your return and your submission that will only decide. Therefore, preparing submission should know the law. Without law will not be. We also share with you from our office what we found. About 98% of the submissions what Ilham and our trustees to make proceed appeal. And everything we got the response is appeal. 98%. Only 2% only matter commission. That shows that this entire scheme is working very well. And it is ultimately how best we are able to put it and how best we are able to do submissions. That will decide. For that, the knowledge of law is very, very important. This is what I will go on. That will be final.
okay.
It is good, and we have to go with that. And once we go with that, life will become easy. Yes.
Yes. Jayan, would you like to add something?
Very briefly, as Shivram said, with faceless assessment, nature of practice will keep changing. That's the change is a constant in life. I would not be surprised if Meta and AI are able to prepare fundamental submissions, of course, implemented with greater refinement with your own knowledge and awareness about the nuances of the law. But I would only simply say that those who are capable of adapting and evolving are those who will succeed and those who will do well. So I think nature of practice, challenges in practice will keep changing, but you have to be ready to adapt and evolve. That's how it is.
I agree with you. And as Lordship has said, see, tools are available for reforming or honing our skills. They will always, we can do that. But definitely, when it comes to litigation, faceless in the beginning is very convenient and it gives a confidence. But at a higher level, especially in constitutional courts, I have seen my own clients, the litigants, they say that we would like to be in the court to see that we are getting justice. So there, I think a effective hearing in a physical court still remains very relevant. Yes, assessment stage in CAT will say that quantity is the there definitely the reforms have paid off. With this, I come to
Just want to add that the higher courts, the High Court as well as the Supreme Court, we have virtual hearings. And every court is supposed to have a virtual access. So it is not that you are forced to come physically to the court. So now it's changing. The world is changing.
Yes.
And we have to change with that.
Now coming to the one very important aspect, is which is more relevant to Karishma's thing, the international taxation, Paresh Bhai and Karishma. In this global world, now taxation, litigation, and everything till now we are talking about the planning and all. How do you see this going forward in the international as a global village? What the tax litigation and the tax planning and all these things what meaning they will have? So,
Well, you'll still keep paying taxes. That meaning is for sure. But yes, it gives us an international exposure to other countries' taxation. Double taxation avoidance treaties will now have to be read by one and all, because if you have to advise global corporations, you will have to be familiar with international taxation, DTAs, Section 90, 91. Is it part of your syllabus? Yes, but you should give them some idea of some of the international tax matters. So it will have a lot of relevance because nobody wants to pay tax. That's the bottom line. And if you are in one country and required to pay tax for the same transaction in another country, there are rules that you can pay only in one country. There are certain points which you have to satisfy the governments on, and you can avoid paying tax officially. Yes?
thank you, sir. Shivam, sir, you would like to say?
Yes, and in fact, that the international taxation subject, I think, we are going to discuss. But let me share with you that the one of our senior many times we just jump to international taxation without knowing the basic principle of taxation. More of 123 countries there, special education. But as a tax practitioner or chartered accountant or advocate, you cannot go directly jump to the international taxation. You have to study the local law. Then you specialize on international taxation. Like Malaysia is there, you specialize in FEMA. Without your basic things on the local law, you cannot advise on it. That is one thing. Second, Gopal, I thought of the sharing one important aspect linked with the entire the practice of students. That is what we are seeing that now. Income Tax Act, it refers 123 central about various state legislation. Therefore, your general law knowledge is good. What I feel now, you are entire course also, there is no discussion of general, like your Transfer Property Act, Stamp Act, there is no discussion, registration. But we will be missing is all the end contributions. One thing I thought of sharing with the student across the country. For one example, I will give you our seniors like Palkiwa, Golo, those two, YPP, PH party. All of them started with general law. Then they shifted to taxation. That's why we find their mastery over the
Well, Lordship also the same.
that their mastery over the act become very important. Therefore, students who want to build a career in the taxation field, they want good counsel. First, initial stage, they should join some general practice with general law. Some are very there, he was one of the experts. And thereafter, what shift over the direct tax or indirect tax came or whatever. That will go long. But you simply directly jump to the tax. And then you start thereafterwards going back to it is not difficult. This is my advice to all the students. You should develop general law first You know the basic of general law. Then you study the like partnership and what so many things are there. Then you develop the, then will become the one of the very competent lawyer, able to argue the any complex litigation. You know the general law. This is what I advise the students across the country. You should take note of that. They should study on that. Nearly next time you are planning have some subject on that.
In brief,
Very brief. Just because there are a number of students, one word of advice, while I don't have anything against international tax, I entirely agree with what Mr. Shivram has said. But also don't get, influenced because you are at an early stage in your careers. Don't get driven by the charisma or because of the attractiveness or newsworthiness of some item. Look at what suits your practice best. And especially if you are practicing in a smaller town, keep aware of your environment. Ultimately, if you want to make a career, of course, first your grounding, and not to say that a person from a Mofussil town cannot become an excellent advocate at international law also. But there are steps that you have to go through. There is a ladder you have to progress, and don't take your career decision influenced by what seems to be in the news. Take it based on what suits your abilities and your environment. And I would simply say that when you enter into any field of law, whether it is matrimonial law or civil law, corporate law, once you study it in depth, it is as attractive as international law, international tax. So the world is open to all of you students. See what suits you best. Don't get driven by the attraction of something. That is the wrong way to make a choice. That's all I would say.
thank you very much. And friends, Akbar is after me saying that I have to conclude, but I am tempted to ask last one question with permission of Akbar, because all people who are sitting here are first generation professionals. Lordship is a first generation lawyer. Whether there were any challenges due to this, or it was advantageous as there was no baggage to carry.
Both. When you are a first generation, you have a lot to learn. And when you are the next generation, you have a pedigree. You already have the DNA. So the advantages are there. But then the expectations are not so many. If you are a second generation, third generation, everybody expects from you. I have seen a lot of colleagues, there's a lot of expectation, and they have to live up to it. When you're a first generation, sky is the limit. Whatever you do, work hard, everything is recognized. And I can say I was very lucky that I got encouraging colleagues and seniors to encourage me till where I am. So I think there are advantages, but your mindset has to be open. Don't have an attitude when you are a first generation. Have the attitude to learn. That's it. Okay.
I do agree with the Honorable Justice, first generation is also practice. Reason being, I also came to practice by accident. I was the student and Mr. Patil was teaching the income tax. By accident, I came to know. Then after completing the law, he asked me to practice. That's why I came. But one thing I thought of sharing with you that the students, whether first generation, second generation, third generation, at least in income tax practice in Mumbai, do not make any difference. For this reason, I tell you, it is in the income tax, especially council practice, it is only your capacity is counted. When you argue for tribunal, 20, 30 people are sitting backside you and you watch. If you perform well, next time they will preach. Therefore, one day, on our chart accountant, he told me, I asked him that How do you feel that about, they having the very good office and, wash area? He said, sure, don't worry. We charter content, we believe in the delivery. We don't believe in the wash office. We don't believe in your value office in there. Tomorrow, if you sit in the chair also, we come over there, we brief you. So this is the what I found in Mumbai city. And Mumbai city is such a great city. They are least bothered whether Gujarati, Marwadi, whatever you do, or which place. But ultimately, they believe you if you are able to deliver well. If you are sincere, able to deliver. Because if you see that all my juniors about, I think about 20, whatever, all are from different field, not from different castes. They not belong to the south, north, east, west, all. But definitely one more thing I'll share with you. All my, I think 6 juniors are giving the top on this who are course is concerned. And all of them for 10 years. And and all of them are sharing, all of them do better than me. Yes. So that itself I feel more proud that this is the beauty of Mumbai concern. I don't know what is small place, but let me share with you one more. Mumbai, all our seniors, rather than the card, they don't have card also. They don't have letterhead also. They don't ask people that come to my chamber, come to the hotel, nothing like that. So this is how the professionally they maintain. This is how we are able to develop that tradition. But I am fortunate that we have a great tradition. Thank you all the seniors, and I am sure that your younger generation also trying to do that. And the students across the country, they should go with that long tradition and hard work. I think automatically it will come to you and you will become one of the leading experts. That is what I.
Yeah.
Very quickly agree with what both my prior speakers have said, but just one word, I'll recollect the words of my father. I was the first person to pass BCom also from my family. In the sense, they were more into science side, and at that time science used to be the thing. I said that I want to do this BCom and then thought of doing CA. One word of advice my father gave. I said, I don't know how I will succeed. He always used to tell me there is always room at the top. Aim for there and you will reach there. And I think that's what works in Bombay. Have the quality, as he has said, have the capacity to work, and room for you will always be there.
Thank you, David. For all of us, I will say one thing. Caliber has no pedigree. Caliber can be only with your hard work and sincerity. That defines everything. With this, I hand over the mic to Akbar.
Thank you, Gopal. Very interesting. We would like to hear more of it someday, some other day. Uh, to the students, I would just like to mention that learning is very important. Whether you are as a student and later on in life, whether you become professionals in practice of law or in business or otherwise, learning of tax laws is very important because if you have the necessary knowledge of tax, you know because each and every one of us is getting affected by tax. And therefore, it is very imperative to have that knowledge that you know the tax laws, what affects you individually. And therefore, learning becomes very, very necessary. And this particular course will help you do that. Thank you so much, Ed. May I now invite His Lordship Abhaya Ujaji to give his closing comments.
I was prepared for the opening comments, but now I'm called upon to give the closing comments. But it's good. I have the advantage of listening to all the illustrious speakers. To all of you students who have joined this course, I must say you are very lucky that you will be guided by experienced professionals, and the course material that you will get will also be prepared by experts who have a number of years in the profession. They are all practicing lawyers and chartered accountants. Taxation as a subject may be difficult. Yes, I agree with my uh, earlier erstwhile colleague at the bar that you should have included general studies also, general laws, as part of your syllabus. Because unless you have knowledge of law, how to apply taxation may become difficult. So just having knowledge of tax may not be it. And yes, for a few years you should, in your practice, work with general practitioners. That is very, very important. Because once you have your grounding in basics, then you can develop on it. I think most of the experts here have done that before starting their tax practice. As far as joining this profession is concerned, considering that the litigation is going down, I don't think the litigation will reduce. Though initially it appears so, because the tax base, the taxpayer base is still very small in our country. And once that grows, the litigation may also grow. Besides, litigation is not the only tax practice. There is advisory also. Tax advisory role is a very, very big role that you all can play. And even as general practicing lawyers, knowledge of taxation laws will give you, what shall we say, a better fillip than the other practicing lawyers. Because you can give an overall advice, a holistic advice to your clients whenever you choose to do that type of practice. We are all students of law till the time we live. Because not only taxation law, all kinds of laws would have to be abided by till the end. So if we even choose not to practice these laws, the knowledge will still help us. With these words, I congratulate the CTC, right? Chamber of Tax Consultants, the Government Law College, all the participants, the organizers, my colleagues on the days today for inviting me here and sharing something which I thought was worth it. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, Your Lordship. May I now invite Shashank Mehta to propose a vote of thanks. After he proposes a vote of thanks, we'll have a small health break and there'll be tea and refreshments served in the neighboring room. Everybody is invited to join in.
Very good evening, one and all. I read somewhere that no duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. I consider it to be my privilege to have been assigned this pleasant task of delivering vote of thanks to these esteemed panelists. For any law enthusiast, there are three B's which are like intrinsic, or I can say inherent to any kind of law enthusiast. The first B is the book, like Gopal sir mentioned. Once a student of law, always a student of law. So first B, book. The second one, bar, and the third one is the bench. We are fortunate to have all these three B's together at the same platform today. To start with the top, that is the bench, I express my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Justice Ahuja sir for sparing his time today with us. He is today like a school teacher who has met the students outside the school. Whenever we interact with our teachers in the classroom, the rapport or the bonding or the kind of conversation we have is a bit formal. Whereas when we meet our teachers outside the classroom, it is something else. There is some kind of I can say excitement, sometimes kind of curiosity, which we all have to meet our teacher outside the classroom. So that is what I can relate today, sir. Thirdly, I would express my gratitude to all the esteemed panelists for expressing their views on how the things are going to be ahead, the future of litigation, especially in the taxation laws, their suggestions on each and every aspect as to how we can, improvise ourselves, especially the principles, sticking to the ethics principles and the way ahead as to how we can, collectively go with the flow of this entire litigation career. Once again, I would like to thank the entire team for, sparing their time today with all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sushant. We'll have a health break for 15 minutes. Reassemble here, and Mr. Devendra Jain takes over.